1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to Animal Nonsense. I'm Jess.
I'm David. Linda Eastman was born on the 24th of September 1941 in New York. Paul McCartney was born on the 18th of June 1942 in Liverpool. Neither of them had pets growing up, but was that about to reverse? In 1965, Paul McCartney got his first pet. It was an Old English sheepdog called Martha.
Oh.
In 1966, he bought High Park Farm, which was a 183-acre sheep farm in the Kintyre Peninsula in Argyllshire in Scotland.
Right.
It was remote. He did it on financial advice. He sort of bought it, but he was not emotionally invested in it until a couple of years later on. In 1967, Paul met Linda at the Bag of Nails nightclub in London, and on the 12th of March 1969, Linda and Paul got married at Marylebone Town Hall. It's really a love story told alongside animals.
Okay.
Imagine a bride on the morning of a wedding. In the last moment before you go, what are the things a bride is doing, and what might she be checking she hasn't forgot?
Well, ideally the rings are someone else's problem at this point. I would be checking, I don't know, hair, makeup, dress, veil.
On her wedding day...
Yeah.
Which you have to remember it ended up like a media circus.
Huge thing. Yeah.
Fans were crying because, one of the Beatles was getting married, and the police officers, and, really a lot. On the morning of her wedding, Linda is holding a kitten.
Oh.
She took her cat along. Now, I don't know what her routine was on the morning of the wedding. I don't know if the kitten was her something new.
Maybe, yeah.
I wondered what the cat was doing right before she was picked up or took to the wedding. Like the cat's just rolling around at her home playing with a ball of wool, and then all of a sudden it gets took into the middle of London. The kitten became obsessed by a reporter's microphone, like the foam cover.
Bit, yeah.
And you can see her reaching for it in this photo.
I think animals being involved in wedding ceremonies is becoming more common, isn't it? A lot of people will have their dog along, or the dog will be the ring bearer. That's quite a nice one.
Here you have...
Oh, cute.
She's holding her kitten, and here is the kitten reaching for the microphone.
Oh, sweet.
Also, Martha, the sheepdog, was brought along, so it was a real event.
I mean, that could have gone wrong, couldn't it?
It
a
really
kitten and a massive dog.
Well, it did make me think.
Yeah.
Had Molly have attended a wedding... I'm wondering how disruptive she might have been.
Awful, absolutely awful. She'd have barked all the way through. She'd have been a nightmare at the wedding breakfast. She'd have just scrounged by everyone's table.
Dearly beloved, we stand in front of the peoples here present. Whoa, whoa.
Does anyone know of any lawful impediment? Woof, woof.
She might know of an impediment, but she might not be able to verbalise it. But maybe it would be like an Agatha Christie, where there's an Agatha Christie where there's a dog called Bob who helps Poirot solve the crime.
Oh, right, okay.
And then Bob ends up carrying in like an evidence or, something.
Yeah.
Poirot refers to him as Monsieur Bob. But Molly might do that. If there was an impediment, she might bring in like the guy's shirt with like lipstick on the collar or something.
She does take exception to some people. And usually she's got quite good radar for who's not such a good sort, but sometimes she does get it wrong, so she might just pick on someone's granny and bark at them incessantly.
The Beatles broke up, and maybe not at ease with the usual response he elicited from every human on Earth as a result of his fame, his love of animals blossomed.
Yeah.
Because you can rely on animals not to be impressed by your music.
Yeah.
They only know the content of your heart. And Linda requested they go to visit his remote Scottish farm. And she really fell in love with it. And under her influence, so did he. And the number of animals increased. One of the reasons he adored nature was because in the Beatles, everything had been done for him. Every year a Christmas tree was just ordered for him and put in his house. And then he was like, no, I want to buy my own Christmas tree and I want to feed my own dog.
Yeah.
And nature really just helped him be normal. I'm a musician, right? And I wrote what is going to be my next single, which is called Rescue the Animals, in your house.
Aww.
And I would like to say that as much as I love your dog, she was not exactly encouraging. It's like a rolling type number. And it was 11 o'clock at night. And I wasn't being noisy, but I was probably quite excited.
Yeah.
And so I was playing. It was when your keyboard was in the main.
Yes.
room.
Yeah.
I was not being really loud, but it had been long enough, I suppose. And she barked at me and sulked. But I really wanted to finish one bit. So right, I'll just do like a bit more. One moment later, like she came back to the door and literally gave me like an "I've told you once" face.
Yeah.
And then she just kind of barked and was like, "No." And I had
She's
to stop.
telling you to come to bed.
And I did, and she immediately settled. And
She's
she
like,
was all right.
it's late. Stop f***ing around. Come to bed. She does it with me as well. Or she like really audibly sighs. She goes like, oh.
And I'm quite a night person.
Ow. She tells the kids off if they come down after bedtime.
I really should.
Yeah. She'll be on the sofa, and if they come down because they can't sleep or bad dream or whatever, she grumbles at them.
Oh, actually, like, don't fool around here.
She's like, absolutely not. This is adult time. Go.
I did feel a bit, I was like, maybe she just thinks I'm really bad. And so I was writing this song and I was like, maybe she just doesn't like it and she's trying to tell me something. Because there's lots of footage of Paul writing songs with numerous animals all around him.
Right.
And I thought if he had your dog, he might not have written Hey Jude. After Paul McCartney left the Beatles, he formed a group called Wings with Linda in it and some of the musicians. After years of not touring, he began his new group in a really ad hoc tour of English universities.
Okay.
And they took everyone with them. The other musicians, really young kids, like really, really young. I'm going to show you a photo in a moment. And they were new parents and they took musical instruments and dogs, all sorts. I've got a photo that really just gives you a snapshot of what family life was like.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah, I mean, that looks idyllic to me. Let's have a look. The sheepdog's lovely. So he's he's sort of lasted quite a long time, hasn't he? And then there's another sheepdog there and a Dalmatian I can see.
After one performance in Hull, the Hall's residence night manager asked who owned a black and white dog. Paul responded the dog was his, and the man complained that the dog had been running up and down the corridor and had everywhere and someone ought to clean it up. And Paul went out with a bag and cleared the dog mess up. Not happy, the manager called the police, who woke Paul up early in the morning, objecting to a dog in the room, and after a scuffle, the band had to leave, animals following on. In 1971, he called an album Ram, because it had been sheep shearing season on his farm. On the cover, he held a ram's horns, and it became the artwork. A local man called Duncan in Scotland, who was much more experienced sheep shearer, he would literally do like 100 sheep, and Paul would do like 10.
Well, it's because they do it so quickly, don't they, the professionals?
But one thing that I thought was really clever, Paul and Linda befriended local animal farmers.
They sound like nice neighbours.
One of the reasons was they had a lot of eager fans hoping to meet them on the farm, but it was really remote. And so they would get somewhere in the vague vicinity, but not to his farm.
Yeah.
But then because they buttered up the locals...
Yes.
They would just be like, no, I've not seen him. I believe he lives 11 miles away on the moor. And then they would
send them off in the wrong direction.
Go in the wrong direction. Linda was a photographer and a really, really good one. I'm going to show you some photos she took in a moment. But she once, and this really reminded me of you, she once took a portrait photo of every sheep in the flock.
Really? And how many sheep were there?
Dozens and dozens and dozens of them, really a lot. I don't know how you would know that you hadn't already done one of them because they're not going to be still. They're going to be reordering themselves and moving around. It's not going to be like, maybe right, number one, bear, number two, bear.
Like when they do school photos and all the children line up. Yeah, I mean, maybe once you get to know them, you can, they're very easy to distinguish by their personalities, possibly.
They were really obsessed with animals. In 1972, inspired by the early Disney cartoons, Paul drew Bruce McMouse, who was a rodent character who supposedly lived under the stage at their live concerts. And the idea was to mix live footage of the band with the animation of the cartoon mouse underneath, which is a really imaginative idea, but it went unreleased until years later.
Oh.
But in 1975, a really important moment occurred as Paul and Linda watched lambs outside their window from their farm kitchen. They realised their meal for the night was lamb chops.
Turning point.
Moment. Like, they realised that there's not a removal from the real animal and what's on your plate. It's the real thing. And I think I
find the cognitive dissonance wild. I mean, I remember taking my children to the petting farm, when they were like toddlers, and seeing all these parents and children looking at the baby piglets and saying, oh, aren't they cute, and staring at them and thinking, oh, how lovely, and then going and eating a ham sandwich and like just not putting the two things together at all. And I find that crazy.
They never ate meat again. And in 1991, Linda McCartney formed the food company.
Yes.
It became a pioneer in meat-free foods and alternative recipes.
Yes, it was really one of the first going, wasn't it? And it's still going strong today.
That's right. She has sold millions and millions of meat-free meals and has reduced demand for animal food products in the process.
Yeah.
Removing unnecessary loss of life in the animal kingdom to some degree. And it's really interesting that in 1975, I think now there's always going to be an element who doesn't really go along with,
who doesn't engage with,
but it's getting much higher year on year. The number of vegetarians is getting more so. In 1975, it was less than 1% of the population.
I mean, when we were children, it was very unusual, wasn't it?
Like, I think now, there are people who don't really go for vegetarian things at all, but there is also an element where it's fashionable, to be vegetarian. It's an engaging thing. But that really wasn't the case in 1975. And the fact that they were such a prominent power couple
being the face
culture,
of it.
It really helped it reach people. And I'm reasonably certain it's the reason my mum ended up vegetarian, which is why I did.
Yeah.
And so it often does take one or two leaders.
Yeah, it does. And the thing is now the meat-free products have moved on so much. Why, when you can have a sausage or a burger that tastes really good, like you can have like a dirty bacon cheeseburger that tastes amazing, that is completely vegan, so why would you possibly want one that's, I don't know, I find as a vegetarian there's definitely a cognitive shift that happens where you stop seeing meat as meat and you see it as just like a lump of dead animal. A steak, to me, there's nothing appealing about a steak. It's just like a lump of dead animal. And I've never understood this. I kind of live by the mantra of like, if I wouldn't do it to my dog, I wouldn't do it to a pig or a sheep or a chicken or anything. Like if it doesn't pass the litmus test of what's acceptable to do to a cat or a dog, then there's no distinction in my mind.
One of the reasons their love of animals was well known was because Linda was an excellent photographer and they talked about animals and they're photographed with them. I have some of her photos to show you.
Nice, okay.
Here's a pigeon she found on her phone in New Orleans.
Oh, well, it's just flown into a house.
This is their horse Lucky in a field of daisies.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Their horse Shadow in the snow.
Nice.
A goat just popping into their kitchen. A dog in a driving seat.
Oh, cute.
This is Martha the sheepdog with a newborn sheepdog puppy.
Oh my gosh. I did once photograph a blind dog. Obviously, you're quite reliant on them. You place your treat as close to the lens as you possibly can to get them to make eye contact.
I hadn't even thought that might be a technique.
If it can't like see or smell or anything. Well, it can smell, but I don't think it could see or it could hear particularly. And we managed. And then I think really the challenge is getting them to be still for long enough. The more trained the dog is, the easier it is. So my dog will do like a wait or, she'll sit. Sometimes they're kind of interested and they sniff the camera, and that's quite good. So all you need to do is make sure you're ideally by some natural light. So go in the garden. It's going to be easier to get your exposure right, or go by a window. I love photos that document animals just doing what they do. So not posed photos.
I met Paul McCartney once. He set up a performing arts school called LIPA in Liverpool, and I was there for a year. And at the graduation ceremony, he gives out the prizes.
Nice, okay.
It was at Liverpool Philharmonic Hall. I had to walk across the stage. He was stood in the middle. He would shake your hand, you would turn, and in the box, the photographer would take your picture. I kind of shook his hand and then carried on moving like a rocket because I was so nervous of like dropping the scroll thing or like getting it wrong.
Yeah.
And then he had to put his hand on my shoulder and go, "Oh, you'll have to hold on there, pal, because I don't think the photographer was ready." And he had to pull me back. Yeah. And then I had to have the photo took. But it's really odd because I was 19 and I thought I'm going to look at that and think, oh, I look young and where did all the years go and all the rest of it. I couldn't look like more of a douchebag. I really look hungover even though I wasn't.
Like a withered Victorian child.
I look worse then than I do now.
A lot of people grow into their looks. Time for our good news roundup. Maidstone Council in Kent has become the first local authority to legally recognise the rights of nature in the UK. Cities across Chile are transforming illegal landfills into lush urban wetlands to combat climate impacts. Poland is moving to tax the windfall profits of oil and gas giants to ease energy costs for everyday consumers. Amsterdam bans advertising for meat and fossil fuels. Researchers have found that seeds from the moringa tree reliably remove over 98% of microplastic particles from water. The plant grows quickly, is drought resistant, has low water requirements, supports biodiversity and acts as a carbon sink.
Join us for more animal nonsense.